You know, I got 98% of what I wanted. I'm pretty happy.
For this budget battle, the sequester already put a lot of tough cuts in place. Tonight, the troubleshooters take a closer look at how those cuts could affect housing for so many families here in Connecticut. Jolene Kent investigates.
I feel defeated, basically. I feel very, very defeated from the sequester cuts.
Melissa Rothkugel of Bristol has seen tough times lately.
Literally, I was out on the streets. Like, I was staying in my car or went and got a tent and I was sleeping in a tent.
Homeless with a newborn daughter, Rothkugel has tried everything to bounce back from losing her job, her home, and her car. In March, things began to look up when she received a letter saying she was receiving a housing voucher for up to $900 a month for Section 8 housing.
I thought everything was going to turn around and pick up. I was going to start getting back on my feet.
However, after she went through the training and found a place, the agency sent her this letter, revoking her voucher and putting her back on the waiting list. It reads, "This action is due to the fact that the federal funding for the housing voucher program was recently cut by 8% under sequestration." The NBC Connecticut troubleshooters found that Rothkugel is among thousands of needy families in the state that have been directly hit by $85 billion in mandatory federal cuts.
According to the Connecticut Office of Fiscal Analysis, housing and homeless-related programs will be cut by at least $8.8 million because of the sequester. This means waiting lists for Section 8 housing are only going to get longer.
Experts say public housing operating funds will be hit the hardest. Landlords will also be affected. Subsidies for rent will be reduced and potentially eliminated entirely.
Right now, it is a crisis.
Jan Chiaretto is the executive director of statewide legal services. She says sequester cuts will have a wide ripple effect.
This affects homeless shelters. There's going to be at least 150,000 nationwide who we know are going to be homeless, but even in communities and cities, you're going to see hundreds and thousands. These particular cuts are going to affect not only low-income people, but also the middle-class people as well.
Conservative groups like Americans for Prosperity stand by their support for the sequester, but agree cuts against the poor are wrong.
We need the cuts. There's no question our government needs to stop overspending.
State Director J.R. Romano says Congress made a mistake in execution.
Instead of sitting down and saying we're going to eliminate these wasteful things, they just said we're going to cut this across the board because it was a good soundbite. They didn't do their due diligence.
With a tough economy, there are few options left for Rothkugel and her newborn baby.
They have to rely on friends, they have to rely on family, and a certain amount of public charity.
And individuals currently using Section 8 housing vouchers could be affected too. But right now the likelihood is low. Those already signed to a lease using vouchers are least likely to be affected. The most at risk are those currently promised a voucher but have yet to obtain housing, like Rothkugel. She says the one good thing about hitting rock bottom is that she can only go up from here.
You get knocked down, you try to get up. And right now I'm just trying to see what I can technically really do.
In Bristol, Jolene Kent, NBC Connecticut Troubleshooters.
And while many housing authorities have millions in reserves, experts say those funds are strictly allocated for specific uses by the federal government.